I've met up with a subscriber and a good friend with his Ice Blue Metallic, which he's actually owned for 6 months. He actually got one of the first ones. Yeah, you might have seen it, met up with Volkswagen Wizards as well. I knew this owner since about 2021, and he had a Mark 7.5 GTI TCR, which was amazing. I've got to say, it looks great next to the Oryx white, and again we're so blessed in the sun. The paint looks amazing. The pearlescent paint looks absolutely stunning. Equally with the Ice Blue Metallic too, looking really good. People of the channel will be happy to know this car has the Varmanor wheels, the 19-inch wheels, because I think consensus is that the 19-inch wheels are a little bit better. Certainly to drive, when I've driven it last year, lighter weight, perhaps get more traction. This car's got the Richmonds. My car actually has, I say my car, obviously this belongs to Volkswagen. Dynamic chassis control, Oryx white, yeah, 18-inch wheels, panoramic roof, area view. It's also got a Vodafone tracker as well, if people didn't know. That's what this is. Stop it getting stolen. And the Ice Blue Metallic car, it's got the black pack. Both cars have the black pack, so that's why they haven't got that in the front. And yeah, no pan roof there. No DCC in that car. And I'm keen to know, this car's done just under 3,000 miles. I'm going to sit and chat with the owner, and we'll get a little bit of an update on, yeah, an actual proper ownership review, because I've got this car for 4 days and I drove it for a day last year. But ultimately, people who actually own it and live with it is going to be really helpful and useful to know. So far, I've been absolutely loving the GTI Clubsport, and yeah, I could spend forever and ever sort of doing a walk around of this car and just sort of, yeah, just everything about it. I love it. And actually, it's kind of like the whole colour changes. Just, you know, at first with sunglasses on, this looked white, but it's Ice Blue Metallic, a really super special colour. Yeah, looking great. We'll try and get another angle of it as well with the Clubsport S sort of at the back. No Akrapovic on these. Yeah, I've opened the pan roof just because it looks cool. And you've got the lights. They're great cars. Inside, they're basically both exactly the same. Both cars don't have leather. And yeah, but I'm looking forward to showing you a bit of an ownership update with a GTI Mark 8.5 owner. And yeah, it's great to have a Sunday morning meet actually. So yeah, let's chat to the owner and just, yeah, get some points on the car. Right, you join me in the Mark 8.5 Golf GTI Clubsport with the owner. So yeah, basically, straight off the bat, loving your car and great to see it. So you said you've had this for 6 months.
I think it's 6 months. Yeah, I think it was it October? I think so.
You literally got one of the first ones, and actually tomorrow plans to meet up with a Mark 8.5 GTI owner, and he got his in July. He got one of the first GTIs. So both you guys are like going to be really insightful and helpful, and yeah, kind of great to be in it. So how many miles have you done? How have you found it so far?
No, I've been really good, loving it, absolutely loving it. Mileage, I've absolutely no idea. I can work it out because I don't know where it is anymore. It's hidden in these. It's
a little bit tricky, and actually I'll show you on camera just to see what we're looking at.
Have you found it like obvious? Because it's not on here anymore, is it, like it used to be?
It's not. Well, yeah, it's a good point actually. Let's see how quickly we can find stuff. Sort of. It's gonna be vehicle, isn't it?
And then
vehicle again.
Oh,
3,000.
3,089.
Okay, so 3,089 is basically exactly the same mileage as the Oryx white one. I keep saying my Oryx white one. It feels like my car. Just it's obviously not. It's Volkswagen's. This is your car. Yeah. How's it been? Any issues in those 6 months? I suppose start off with some of the, if there's any problems.
Have I had any issues in the 6 months? No, I don't think so. There's been a couple of unusuals, like the brakes don't feel as sharp as the TCR instantly.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just because they're more progressive or whether, I don't know, they're not like, as you know, you touch them and take your face off if you're not used to it. They're definitely not like that. They're a bit more progressive. So push harder, they brake harder, but it's a bit weird to get used to.
That is super interesting. Actually, I had a comment this morning from someone saying, oh, you should just get a 7.5 TCR. Now, so you're a person who had that TCR and had it for a long time. I love people who owned their cars for a long time. How are you feeling in comparison? I mean, you compared it there with the braking.
Yeah, I think both have swings and roundabouts, don't they? I mean, it's been so long now since I've driven it, I need to drive another one, but I feel like the sound on the TCR was maybe a little bit better.
The Akrapovic on yours, didn't you? Yeah, so it's standard exhaust here.
But I don't know, when I've put this into sport mode, I find it easier to get it to pop and bang, just easier to get it to do it, but maybe not quite as loud as the other one. Touchscreens as touchscreens go, it's not bad. It's worked absolutely fine. I haven't really had any issues with it. It's quite responsive, but touchscreens are just rubbish. Like compared to the 7.5 and having buttons, it's rubbish because it's a touchscreen. But as touchscreens go in the 2025 era that we're in, it's a pretty decent touchscreen.
And I'll save my thoughts on that tomorrow on touchscreen stuff. Yeah, let's hear. But it's been all right. No like lag or errors.
No, it's been fine. And I had the sound of it. I think the clicking sound. I turned it on, then I turned it off, then I turned it on as I kind of adapted. But actually, I've decided I need it on. But generally, it's pretty good. There's just a couple of things like if you want to put the screen demister on thing, you can't see it with the steering wheel. And it's like, if they'd have just put it there.
So yeah, we can show it on camera. So you mean just literally down to the right?
If you want to just push it to quickly demist the windscreen, if it was there, you could just see it. So you have to look physically because you can't feel it. So it's just, there's a little things that.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing with the haptic. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to take it away. One thing I've noticed quite a lot is when trying to press the mode, if I'm on the move, I'm scared that I'm going to end up pressing the hazard lights.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a little bit of a you've got to look. But as I say, I think as touchscreens go, it's pretty good in this day and age, but they're just not quite as easy to use as buttons, are they?
Yeah, definitely. How have you found it the way it drives? That's the big thing.
So So driving, I do think it's better than the previous one.
Okay. But better than your TCR.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like the steering's a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
And I do feel like it just has a bit more responsiveness. Like if I was trying to pull out of a really small slip road and I've got someone slow in front, I would, in the TCR, I would just knock it into sport mode just to drop it down a couple of gears, and then I put my foot down. Whereas this, I just put my foot down in normal mode, and I think it just goes a bit more. So I do think it has a bit more going on underneath. Yeah.
Do you think these are my thing? Do you think it's got a little bit more power than the quoted 296?
Yeah, I think it must.
Yeah. Just from the cars that I've driven, this feels like it feels like a safe 320. Just from me. But I guess that's up to you. Certainly coming from your TCR, which was 285, you feel it's got the poke.
Yeah, definitely, and it does. Yeah, it just feels a little bit more responsive when you put your foot down. It just feels like it just goes a little bit more responsively than.
Okay, so faster handling wise.
Yeah, I think it just feels a little bit more direct.
Yeah.
Occasionally, sometimes I think, oh, is that stupid lane assist stop? But it's not. But yeah, I think it does feel a little bit more direct. I think when you turn it.
Well, that's good to know. Braking, you sort of mentioned that it's a little bit different in the pedal feel.
Yeah, brakes are decent, but it feels. I don't know whether it's just feels a little bit more progressive. I drove my parents' car the other day.
Yeah.
And it's only a T-Cross, but I touched the brakes and Christ, I nearly took my face off. Whereas I've got used to this, you have to push a little bit harder. So, whereas in the TCR it used to be the other way round. That used to be really sharp.
And I remember driving your TCR actually. It definitely felt quite raw. That car. Yeah, I'm quite curious as well. And I guess I don't know the exact weights, but. Do you find this a little bit more? Yeah, because you must have driven it sort of on similar roads to your TCR.
No, I don't probably feel it any different in terms of weight. I know it's a little bit heavier, isn't it? But I wouldn't say you'd notice.
Okay.
The only thing I do possibly wonder, but as I said before in the last video, I've never driven a car with dynamic chassis control, so knowing the difference.
We've got here, and I know it's a little bit busy, but after we've done this, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. I can relay it back anyway afterwards, see what you think as the passenger.
But like, I don't find the ride a problem. I'm used to it. I don't find it too hard. I find it absolutely fine. The only thing is, because it has the touchscreen, if it's a hard road and you're bouncing around and you're trying to touch the bleeding air conditioning and your fingers bouncing around because it's on a touchscreen, whether DCC would make that a little bit smoother, I don't know. Yeah,
that is interesting actually. Trying to think what else. Interior quality. I'm gonna say compared to your TCR, the Mark 7.5.
I mean, it's not quite as nice as a TCR, but I have to say, you get used to what you've got. It's still a really nice car. I love looking at it and driving it, so you kind of forget a little bit of those things. you know, the paddles behind the steering wheel are not quite as good as they were in the old, but you get used to it, and you kind of forget that they feel a bit cheaper than the old one because you adapt to it. And when you go and sit in, you know, some other newer cars, everybody's done the same. So, you know, you go and sit in a new Audi A3 or whatever, and it's very similar. I mean, it's not as good as the previous gen, so you notice a little bit. So you get used to it, don't you? So and, you know, and anybody that's not a car enthusiast that sat in this car goes, "Wow, your car's really nice. I love it." Like, no, it's only us nerds that go, this plastic's not as good as the old.
All these little bits, and certainly from my sort of 2-3 days so far with that car, I feel like they've upped the quality of the 8.5 in certain areas, just trying to make it a little bit more premium here and there. But just some bits, it's still like plasticky, where I mean, I think you pointed it out when I came with my Mark 7 Golf R. You sort of noticed a few things where it's just a little bit
better,
not as plasticky. But I feel like they've learned from the 8 and they've upped it as much as they could for the 8.5. It's almost like if there was a 9, which, I mean, we spoke a little bit about how the Ford Focus is now ending in November. I'm filming this obviously March 2025.
But the ID GTI, if they make that, will probably have the corrections, I reckon. Or
you would certainly hope. I hope so anyway. Yeah, if you were to say sort of like, for someone looking to buy this car, what would you say?
Don't buy it, because I don't want it to be everywhere. So
yeah, exactly.
Keep it unique.
Well, the colour, the ice blue metallic, and yeah, hopefully that's come up okay on camera. It's the same with the Oryx white. You have to be here, don't you?
You do. The Oryx white looks really good, especially in the sun. It just sparkles so much.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll pop it on camera to see it's moving around. But one thing I've noticed as well, and this is just for me, and I mentioned it to you just while the mirror's up. You see the mirror up there? Basically, when you're sort of driving on a nice country road and you tuck your mirror in, which I do because obviously it narrows the width, I find it blocks too much of the actual passenger window, which I don't get in my Mark 7 Golf R. So small little gripe there. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of anything else to really ask.
But it's been an amazing car. Really loved it. No regrets on changing it. Kind of miss having an Akrapovic a little bit, but so if anybody's got one, like, they want to flog me to put on the back. But yeah, other than that, I think it's fantastic. Loved it.
Oh, pretty well. I can help you out perhaps with the Akrapovic, because I drove a back-to-back, one with Akrapovic and one without. Yeah. And I didn't think it was that much difference. And actually, I drove your TCR Akrapovic, and remember I drove another person's TCR with a non-Akrapovic.
Oh, yes.
And actually, even that, it wasn't massively. I think from the aesthetics point of view, again, obviously you lose the chrome.
Yeah. But again, it's us nerds, isn't it? A normal person is not going to notice any difference between
we're going properly in depth. The other thing about, and a few people mentioned it as well, was the black pack. And they were quite surprised that the VW badge wasn't blacked out. I sort of suggested maybe the calipers could have been in black.
I suppose you could have done, but then you're eating on the R Black Edition, aren't you? It's difficult.
this is the thing. It looks like an R. I've looked at that from the front and thought it was an R. People have commented and said, "Oh wow, it's amazing how much the thumbnail looks like a Golf R."
Yeah, and they do look so similar, don't they?
Yeah, with the black pack taking away the red bar, and at first when I first met up with you, when you first got this car, I was like, oh, it's got to have the GTI stripe. Yeah. Now I'm sort of like, for the Clubsport, it works kind of.
I think it works. Yeah, I think that's even on any colour. I think if you have it even on the white one, I think it looks good with the black. And we were saying, weren't we, that actually I've not seen a black GTI Clubsport. Yeah. But I think a black one would look really good. Well,
that's a good point to mention actually. The Rarity, and this is 100%. I have not seen a Mark 8.5 GTI Clubsport on the road. I've not seen one outside of doing some stuff.
Yeah,
you've seen one because you own one. I think with the fact that the way we're going, I can't believe I'm even sitting here in 2025 with you, frankly, in March, and you can still buy this car new. I think these cars are going to be really rare, because they're priced quite highly. You know, you've got to be able to fund it, and Volkswagen can only sell a certain amount, because it's still sort of in that whole sort of realm of you've got to sell the electric. We're in this sort of weird sort of space. You mentioned Harry from is it Portsmouth Volkswagen? Is that
Peter Cooper in Portsmouth?
So that's basically, we're down sort of by Petersfield at the moment. I've yeah, if you want to buy a Volkswagen, go to Harry. I've never met him. I do kind of want to check out.
Link him in this thing. Yeah, he's a really nice guy.
That's where
has some amazing cars down there, and he really loves cars, so he knows what he's talking about. You know, his car that he's got at the moment, he's just picked up a black GTI. He had a red one previously. Looks really good. Yeah, he loves his cars as well. So
and to be fair, getting it from an enthusiast can be really, really helpful. And yeah, that's something that I would recommend. I'll leave links in the description because I do follow Harry on Instagram as well. Last thing, because I'm meeting up with a standard GTI tomorrow, and that's one thing I'm interested about, the 265 to this 296 and the more firmer suspension. What's the difference going to be? Was there any part of you that was like, because I know it felt like a little bit, perhaps you weren't too sure that you were even going to get this car the way it sort of appeared. Is there anything of you thinking maybe a standard GTI would have worked better for you, or you're happy?
No, I love the Clubsport. Yeah, if I didn't have a Clubsport, I'd have gone for probably an R Black edition rather than a base GTI. But I'm glad, because I think the R's going to be more common. So you go on Auto Trader and there's already more R Black editions than there is GTI. So
that I agree with. I've seen way too many, certainly Mark 8s. There's lots of them, and that's where the Mark 8, they sold so many. There's going to be less of these 8.5s.
Yeah, but I think I've seen quite a lot of good, well, I say good in this day and age, lease deals populate on R's that
jump in. I mean, like this is the last chance to get it. I mean, I love a car which is a normal car, which can then be fun, and this is the first car I've driven in a long time, spoiling away my kind of final conclusion tomorrow. It's felt special driving that. It's felt special with the roof off. It's felt special in Oryx white. It gets so many looks. I've never had a car have so many looks. I've had people run up to me and gone, that's a sick car. Like literally, I've only had it 2 days. Yeah, it's certainly great. 7-speed DSG. How did you find the gearbox compared to what you've had before?
Pretty much the same, I think.
Oh, the same?
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know if there is any difference in it, but it's felt completely the same. Again, it's the kind of, because you haven't got the clunky lever and you think, oh, this is a bit weird, this thing.
Yeah.
But you get used to it. Like piano black, obviously, a bit like the Mark 7 was, but the Mark 7 only had a little bit of piano black, and I've barely touched it and it is still scratched. That's the way it is.
Yeah, there's not much different from that you can do about that. Now it's quite busy on the road, so the only thing that I think, to be fair, is there anything else that you'd like to really say? Because I'd quite like to take you out in that, just to show you what the DCC's like.
Yeah, keen to go. I'd love to see the DCC.
Yeah, just to get an idea from a car on 19s and passive. Because when I was a passenger in this car before, I noticed it basically felt very similar to that with the DCC in firm. That's what it felt like to me. But that's on 18, so hey, I don't know. It's each to their own, really. Yeah,
because does it stay when you set your DCC? Does it stay in that setting, or does it go back? Because you know, if you put it in a mode like sport mode or whatever, every time you get in, you have to redo it.
Yeah.
Have you got to redo it every time, or does it stay in the mode you're in?
So I've had this question as well in the comments too. Every time I start up that car, it starts up in comfort. It starts up with DCC in comfort,
and you have to adjust
everything
it.
Comfort, which actually is perfect. It's the right way to kind of set it up. Does your car have special mode?
No. Have you got special mode?
It's got special mode.
Is it?
And I'm quite curious about that. I'm guessing it's. I mean, my idea of special mode, because what I've noticed is when I go from special to race, it goes a lot firmer in race. Special is basically softest DCC, everything turned up. I think you can probably do it. Basically, if you get DCC, you get the special Nürburgring road. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it's not like a performance pack or anything. It's all, I don't know. I get, I mean, we're nerding out about it. I get confused with the options.
We were trying to work out before, weren't we? If you had a crapper bitch of performance pack, but you didn't have DCC, would you get it or not? And if you get DCC, do you get it?
Well, I can 100% say that doesn't have an Akrapovic, so it's got
and the DCC.
And it's got the special Nürburg mode, which that's what I've kind of been going between. And actually, cruising down here, I've come from Hertfordshire, 46 MPG.
Did you?
Yeah, how bloody good is that?
That's good, because my MPG's been a bit, it's not bad, but actually not quite as good as the TCR used to be.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Although I'm pretty sure the TCR got to 20,000 miles and then it definitely loosened up a bit more and it went up.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
this is 3,000, so it's very,
it's got a way to go.
Very new.
But bit I do like in the world of 2025 is up here, at least where you can make the shortcuts.
Yes.
At least when you've got the speed bonging thing, you can press, I don't know if it'll work with this, assist.
Oh yeah, it won't come on.
And you can do off quick, so it's easy to do. You're not trying to fumble around in a three mode, so at least it makes it as easy as it can be.
I've got a lot to say about that tech.
But at least it gives you, I don't know if you found this, but it gives you 2 miles an hour, or if you're going a bit faster, 3 miles an hour. So you can get to 32 and it won't bong, so at least if you're just on the cusp, it doesn't continually bong at you.
The worst thing, which I've noticed, and I've got nothing wrong with speed limit stuff, is that it doesn't know the speed of the road.
Yeah,
that's been the worst thing. Like,
it bongs at you when you're, well, it's a complete
different both ways, and both ways in a dangerous way. And I don't know if this is a Volkswagen fault or this is just the way it works with the geo system, because it's obviously coming from some sort of satellites. But what I found is it will sometimes say it's a 20 when it's actually a 30. But then the worst ones I've seen is when it says it's a 40 and it's a 30. So you'd be doing, you obviously, I know areas where it's 30, but you can completely get yourself caught out. Basically, trust your own instincts. On the nav, just for example, I came down here on the M25 and I was like, I'm just going to use all the navigation system, get up to speed of it. It didn't even know that a whole junction of the M25 was closed. So it would have just said to me that it didn't even know. And I think bits like that, I'm just like, that's why I just use my phone, just use Android Auto on the tech.
Well, IDA's been switched off, I'm afraid. I don't know what you've done with IDA, because I tried to use it and I thought, oh, I'll use it when I mentioned earlier about, oh, you can't see the the defrost your windscreen. I thought, okay, well, I'll tell IDA to do it, and it does it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, stop. I don't know what you're on about. And I was like, for Christ's sake. So I've got to push it anyway. So and then she starts chiming in when you're having your own conversation with someone and you haven't even said hello, Ida. So I was like, that's it, she's going off.
So Ida, for people who don't know, is basically like the chat assistant. It's basically like Alexa or whatever, and it will talk for you. I haven't used it once. I'll be honest with you, I am a person who I could just turn all the infotainment off and just be fine. One positive, because I've realised I've kind of been negative about it, and I'm interested to know your thoughts about it. When I've had everything on, lane assist, cruise control, the steering steers itself, everything, it's brilliant. Like, genuinely, I came down here on the bits of the M25 that weren't closed. I could literally you could fall asleep. Funny enough, it bongs and says if you're gonna fall asleep. It's brilliant. It's actually the first time I've sort of just trusted it. And there's a GT3 RS there.
There's so many nice cars going past, isn't there?
Yeah,
we need to go that way.
I think there's nice roads here, isn't there? That's why people are coming down here. Right.
I agree on that. I was just going to say, because I put it into travel assist mode or whatever it is, and you just literally, you take your foot off it and it just keeps the speed, does the steering, you haven't got to think, it brings you almost to a stop. And I like the fact that when it does read the road signs correctly, you don't even have to adjust. You don't have to think, oh, I'm coming to a 50 zone with an average speed camera, I've got to slow it down. It does it all for you. So it does make it easy. It does make it better. And I like the physical buttons are back. I prefer them to the haptic. But I guess you didn't spend as much time, and you don't know haptic life from the 8 or the 8.5R has haptic. That could still be a game changer for people who are wanting to go for it. We've just been talking for just over 20 minutes. What I think we should do is we'll do it off camera. Come in as a passenger as that. We'll go up and down on DCC. Yeah, but just see what it feels like. Yeah, and see how that you find that compared to this. And yeah, we'll have a little conclusion, or I'll have a little conclusion outside and relay your thoughts. But thank you so much, by the way, because just you're welcome. It's been a pleasure. I'd come down here just to meet up with you anyway, let alone not even having a film. And then we could just watch the car. Yeah, just literally sit and enjoy it. And actually, meets and stuff is something I went to a meet last week actually. Something I want to kind of get more into, and if Volkswagen lend me another car in the future or something like that, just to bring people in. So yeah, and I hope people have found this little segment useful. But let's see what you think of the Oryx White, and yeah, we'll go from there. Right, got my sunglasses on. Yeah, we just finished up, went for a drive. There's lots more to talk about, and what I will do is I will reflect on my final thoughts tomorrow on Monday. Ice Blue Metallic, Oryx White,
look great side by side. And I've been out for a drive in that as a passenger. The owner of that has been out in the passenger seat of this car, and we have lots to reflect on this sunny day. So yes, enjoy the rest of the day, and yeah, you'll join me tomorrow. So you now join me on the Monday, and just to summarise what happened after this with the Ice Blue Metallic owner, I went for a drive as a passenger in his Ice Blue Metallic car and really got a sense of a feel of what the car was like, and we went around some really nice roads. Felt great, certainly firmer, but it felt great. I then took that owner out in the Oryx White. We went for a good little drive, both on the softest suspension of the DCC and the firmest, and yeah, he noticed the difference when it changed, but didn't feel it was massively different to what he found in his Ice Blue Metallic. So that's just something to know. I certainly noticed it a fair chunk more comfortable. And actually, what I was concerned about was that the front end of the wheels, it's more serious on the 19-inch 235 section tyres. But actually, I was sort of pulling it around the same bends, and he was saying, oh, I can see you can have confidence in this. And I was like, yeah. So actually, to be fair, I think it's just so subjective on both cars, but it's good to have them both there. There was other cool little quirky things that we worked out, like the bonnet is painted in this Oryx White. It's all white underneath, so like the underside of the bonnet when you lift it up is all white and inside is all white. But with his, it's unpainted, which I just thought was a little bit of an oversight. Yeah, we had a great chat, and we really enjoyed the car, and I've got plans to meet up with the owner again in the future as well. So yeah, for more content on that. And yeah, overall a great car, and I hope getting some experience from someone who's owned the car for 6 months, I hope has helped you out. And get involved in the comments if you want to know any more, or yeah, it's a community channel at the end of the day. But I hope you've enjoyed those specials, Ice Blue Metallic and this amazing Oryx White Golf GTI Clubsport, which I'm about to hand back in a few hours. Sad face. But yeah, thanks for watching, subscribe, plenty more content to come.